So I'm going to go through the 30 questions on your pretest. So anyways, this is the preview of what you're going to see. So I'll just work through these and try to help you out. So it says for the high school basketball game, it costs $15 for every 3 tickets. So that means if I go $15 for 3 tickets, if I divide that, that means it's $5 for every 1 ticket. So if I have the number of tickets being 4, well, 4 times 5 is going to be 20. The other thing I could do is set it up as a proportion. Okay, so 15 is to 3 as how many dollars is to 4. And so I'd go 4 times 15 and divide it by 3. So 4 times 15 divided by 3. And I get 20 if I look on that screen. So that one. So right here would be $20. And I could do the same thing here. 15 is to 3 as 30 is to x. Or you could say, okay, $30, if I divide that by 5, that's going to be 6. And 8 times 5 is 40. 45 divided by 5 is 9. So that's how you're going to do that first problem. Okay. Second question says, choose the correct description, fill in the blanks below. So it says, Trey is deciding how many people excuse me, to take to the movies. The table below shows the cost for different size groups of people. Number and group, cost in dollars. So it says the cost for each person is not always the same. It appears to be the same. Predict the cost for 64. So let's just do this. Let's put the dollars on top. 24 divided by 3 is 8. 40 divided by 5 is also 8. 56 divided by 7 is also 8. So it appears to be the same. So I click on the thing. The cost for each person appears to be the same. And if it is $64, $64 divided by 8 is 8. Okay. The next question says a train travels from city A to city B. The table below shows the distance, the amount of time it takes on the train. Then it gives us the option. So let's see. It goes 28 kilometers in 4 minutes. So that means it goes 7 kilometers per 1 minute. 48 divided by 8. 48 divided by 8 is 6 kilometers per 1 minute. 54 divided by 9 is also 6. But these are not all the same, so the train does not always go to the same distance each minute. Okay, so you'd click on the first one. All right, question number 3. Question number 3 says, suppose that an individual has a body fat of 17.6%, weighs 167 pounds. How many pounds of her weight is made up of fat? So 17.6% of 167. So remember, of means times. Change this to a decimal. 0.176 times 167. So now you just go to your calculator. 0.176 times 167. And it's 29.39. So 29.39, it says round to the nearest tenth. So that's the hundredth, so that's going to round things up to be 29.4. So question number 4, it says an item has a listed price of $70. If the sales tax rate is 3%, how much is the sales tax? So it's not asking how much do we pay, we just say how much is the sales tax. Well, 3% of 70. So we just multiply those together, go to our calculator, 0.03 times 70, 0.03 times 70. So 2.1. So we come back. So this is going to be 2.1. So it says Teresa spent $6 on fruit at the grocery store. She spent a total of $40 at the store. What percentage of the total did she spend on fruit? So it says what percentage of the total. So 40 is the total. It goes on the bottom, and she spent $6. So now we just go to a calculator and go 6 divided by 40. So 0.15, and then we have to change that to a percent. So 0.15 as a percent is going to be 15. Then I click on this button and it'll bring up the percent for you. Okay, this is one that a lot of people struggled with. We'll see on the unit self-checks. So I'll try different ways to do this problem, okay? It says a chemist is using 373 milliliters of a solution of acid and water. So I have acid and water, okay? If 16.7% of the solution is acid, so maybe this isn't one I'm thinking of. So 16.7% of the solution is acid. How many milliliters of acid are there? So 16.7% of 373. So we're just going to make that 0.167 and multiply that to 373. Not the same problem I was thinking of, so maybe we'll get to one like that. So 0.167 times 373, 62.29. So 62.29, again to the nearest tenth. That means that 9 moves it up because that's the hundredths. Tenth is this 2, so 62.3. So a file that has 284 megabytes is being downloaded. The download is 13.2% complete. How many megabytes have been downloaded? So 0.132 of 284. So again, we just go to our calculator, 0.132 of 284. 0.132 of 284. Look over here, 37.488. So 37.488, and it says to the nearest tenth, so that's this guy. So 37.5 is what we'd put in as our answer. What is 60% of 24? Well, 60% of 24, change that to a decimal, 0.6 of 24. Go to our calculator, 0.6 times 24 says it is 14.4. So 14.4. Now, if it said round to the nearest tenth, this is what you would write because there's nothing to round to make it go up or down. So this is just what you, well, it never goes down, but there's nothing to move it up. So you just leave it as 14.4, okay? So question number 9 says, what is 40% of 88? Again, we're just going to go 0.4 of 88. Go to our calculator. 0.4 of means multiply, so we just go 0.4 times 88. It's 35.2. So I come back and I'm going to put in this little box right here, 35.2, and submit it. All right, so this problem is set up. Solve the following proportion for V. Remember, if it's a proportion, we can just cross multiply. So 3 times 5 is 15. So we'd really have 15 equals 17V. So to get V alone, we divide everything by 17. So V equals 17 divided by 15. Okay. The other way we could do that is just go to your calculator. You multiply these and divide by that one. So 3 times 5 divided by 17. It says round to the nearest tenth, so that says 0.88. So the tenth is the first one. So that's going to be 0.9. So I come back to my screen. So this is going to be 0.9. Okay. So on this one, it's the same thing, but this one doesn't have just one variable. So we can't just go 3 times 5 divided by 4. Instead, we're going to go 3 times 5 is 15 equals 4 times all of that stuff. So 4 times y minus 2. So realistically, you still could divide it by 4 right now. So there's two different ways to do this. You still could divide it by 4. Okay, so you're going to have 15 over 4 equals y minus 2. Then you would just go to your calculator and go 15 divided by 4 is 3.75. Let's see. So 3.75 equals y minus 2. Add the 2. So 5.75 equals y. So that's one way. The other way is to take it like we have it right here and distribute that 4. So I have 15 equals 4y. Then 4 times negative 2 is negative 8. And so now to solve it, to get rid of the minus 8, I add 8 to each side. So 23 equals 4y. So now I'm just going to divide each side by 4. So now I'd come to my calculator and go 23 divided by 4. So 5.75. So I come back to here. I'd have 5.75 equals y. So again, either method is fine. You'll get the same answer. It's just a different way of looking at it. Whether you get rid of that 4 first, or whether I distribute the 4 and then do it that way. So on this one, it has variables on both of them. So I am going to distribute this negative 8 to the x plus 3. And I'm going to distribute this x to the negative 14. So now I'm going to multiply that negative 8 into each of those. So that makes negative 8x. And negative 8 times 3 is negative 24. And now over here I have equals negative 14x. So I'm going to get rid of this minus 8x. So I'm going to add 8x to each side. So I'm left with negative 24 equals negative 6x. So now I just divide by negative 6, and negative divided by a negative goes away. 24 divided by 6 is 4, so I get that x equals 4. So that's what you would type in here, and you're done with the problem. Not sure I was recording when I just did this problem, so I'll quickly walk through it. I'm going to go negative 8 times this, and x times negative 14. So you can do this when it is a proportion, so I get negative 14x. So I now distribute. That makes negative 8x minus 24 equals negative 14x. So now I just add 8x to each side. So negative 24 equals negative 6x. Divide by a negative 6, so a negative divided by a negative is a positive. 24 divided by 6 is 4. So I get that x equals 4. So on this problem, if you remember back to our trigonometry stuff, we said if the variable's on the bottom right here and you have something here, you can just swap those. So y equals negative 4 over 6, which is negative 2/3, and you're done. Okay. The long way to get rid of a divide by y, you multiply each side by y. So those go away. So I have negative 6y equals 4. So now to get rid of that times by negative 6, I divide by negative 6. So I'm left with y equals negative 4/6, because those cancel off. And 4/6 reduces to be negative 2/3. I click this button and type in negative 2/3. You're good to go. It says Jenny runs 7 miles in 50 minutes. So I'm just going to set that up, 7 miles in 50 minutes. At the same rate, how many miles would she run in 75 minutes? So minutes goes on the bottom, miles goes on top. I now have a proportion. So I can just cross multiply 75 times 7, divide it by 50. So I'm going to go to my calculator. 75 times 7 divided by 50. And it says 10.5. So I'd come back to here and type in 10.5 miles right here. Okay, so that's that problem. Okay, question 15 says the ratio of men to women working for a company is 2 to 3. So I'm going to write it like this, 2 to 3. This is man, women. If there are 140 employees total, how many women work for the company? Well, let's look at this. This is 2 men to every 3 women, right? So that means for 5 people, there are 3 women for 5 people. So I added the 2 plus 3 together to get 5. So there's 3 women for every 5 people. So now I have 140 people total. How many women? So now I can just go to my calculator and do the same thing we've been doing. We're going to go 3 times 140. And divide that by 5. And I get that there's 84. Okay? So there are 84 women. So realize when you have something like this, you can manipulate those. It can be men to women, it can be men to total, it can be women to total. It depends on what this is talking about, okay? You want to have the same thing as this over on this side right here, okay? So this is 140 total people, so we wanted total people out of that proportion. So 36 is what percent of 80? Okay, so I just set these up the way that I read them. There's other ways to do them. And some people like to do this. 36 is what percent of 80? They like to go x over 100. This is a percent. It's always x over 100. That'll give me my percent. 36 over 80. Okay, I don't. I just put in letters and signs. So 36 equals x times 80. Like on this one, it says what? So that's my x. Is means equals. 0.35 of means times 40. So that's how I do them. Some people like to say, what is 35% of 40? So 35 over 100, that's my percent, equals x over 40. Okay, so that's how some people like to do it. They like to set up the proportion. Either way, I'm happy with. Whatever you like to do makes you happy and you understand. Okay, so on this one, if I were to finish solving this, I would go 36 divided by 80. And realize that's a decimal, and it's asking for percent. So I multiply by 100, or I move the decimal over 2 places. So that would be 45% on this one. And this one, I need to go just 0.35 times 40, so 0.35 times 40. And that says it's 14. So this equals 14. So it'd be the same thing if I were to go 35 times 40 and divide it by 100. I moved the decimal place over when I did 0.35. On this one I didn't, because it's 35 divided by 100. So just a little bit of a difference in how you do them. Either way, like I said, is great. I'm happy with either one. Number 17, same kind of a thing. 20.4 is what percent of 17? So 20.4 is what percent of 17? So now to get x alone, you would just divide. So 20.4 divided by 17 equals x. So realize I did this. Again, if you're setting it up as a proportion, 20.4. So what percent? So percent always goes over 100. 20.4 and the 17 goes there. Okay. So this just tells you have to multiply by 100 and move the decimal place over 2 when you're done. So 52.5 of means times, x is means equals 25.83. So is equal, of means multiply. So now to get x alone, I just divide. So x equals 25.83 divided by 0.525. Okay. Or if you wanted to set up as a proportion, you would again say point, let's see, 52.5 over 100 equals x over 25.83. So you have to realize this is the total that it's asking for right here, and go that way. So 25.83 divided by 0.525. So 49.2 is this answer. And over on this one, 20.4 divided by 17. So that's 1.2. So I realize these are not going to be the same problems as you get most likely. The idea isn't that you have the same problem. The idea is I'm trying to show you how to work through a problem that's similar to what you're going to get. Okay, so hopefully that helps you know how to do these kinds of problems. So on this one it says a book sold 36,000 copies in its first month of release. Suppose this represents 7.8% of the number of copies sold to date. How many copies have been sold to date? So 36,000 is 7.8%. So again, some people like to write it like this. So 0.078 is to 100 as 36,600 is to x. Whoops, not 0.078. So 7.8. Okay. The other way is to say 7.8% of what number is 36,600. So that's just another way to look at it. And then you divide this by 0.078. So that's what you would do on that problem. So let's go to our calculator. So 36,600 divided by 0.078. And it's 469,230.76. So 469,230.769. And just to show you, if I were to do it this other way, where I'd go 100 times 36,600 divided by 7.8. And it gives us the same number. Okay, so it doesn't matter which method you use, you get the same number. Now this says round your answer to the nearest whole number. Well, this 0.7 is going to round that 0 up to a 1. So you would type in 469231. So that'd be the number of copies that have been sold to date. So an item is regularly priced at $55. It is on sale for 65% off the regular price. So I can go 55 times 0.06 times 0.65. That'll tell me how much I need to take off. Okay, so to show you what that is, so 55 times 0.65. So that's the amount we're going to take off. So we can go 65 minus 35.75, and that's the amount I have to pay. So I have to pay 29.25. Not sure that's what the question is asking, so I got to go back and find out what the question even says. So it is on sale use the Aleks calculator to find the sell price. So that is the sell price. Now the other way to think about this is if I take 65% of it off, how much does that leave? So if I subtract that off, it leaves me 35%. So you could think of it, how much do I have left to pay? Well, I have 0.35 of 55. Okay, so that gives me another way to look at this problem. How much do I have left to pay? 0.35 of 55. Whoops, 0.35 of 55. And they're supposed to be the same answer. 100 minus 65 is 35, so 0.35, oh, of $65. No wonder. Hold on, I gotta go back to my question. Now I'm all sorts of confused. So the originally price was $55 and it was 65% off. Okay, so I can go 0.65 of 55, and that's going to give me the amount to subtract off. Off of $55. Or I can go $55 times 0.35 because that's the amount that I have left. If I take 65% of it off, I'm left with 35%. Okay, so now if I go to my calculator, hopefully this time we get them to be the same answer. So I'm going to go 55 minus 0.65 of 55. So that's this part up here, other than I hit too many fives at the beginning. So 19.25. Or I could go 55 times 0.35. There we go. Apparently I forgot the 0.35, so it would just move over two places. So you get the idea on that. Okay. So this one says the sofa is on sale for $589, which is 24% less than the regular price. So 24% of some price, 24% less. So this is the original price equals 589. I did that backwards. X minus 0.24 of X. There we go. Okay, so I have my original price minus the percent that we're taking off. Okay, so trying to think of another way to do this. Give me a second. So another way to think about this, if this is 24% less than the regular price, so this is 24% less than the regular price. If I were to go 100 minus 24, that would say it's 76. In other words, this is 76% of my original price. So the other way to do that is to say that it's 76% of my original price. So 76% of, of my original price is 589. Okay. So here's what I wrote down here. I said original price minus 24% of the original price equals my sell price. So if I were to do it this way, this is the same thing I have up here. I was just trying to write it down in words so you could see what I had done. X minus 0.24x is 0.76x equals 589, which is the same way to look at it as this. So now we just go to our calculator. To get rid of it times by 0.76, we divide. So I go 589 divided by 0.76, and I get $775. Okay, and that should be more than this price because this is the discount price. So 775 is a reasonable amount. All right, it says the price of an item yesterday was $140. The price rose to $238 today. This is like a case of toilet paper in today's economy. So anyways, find the percentage increase. Okay, so we started at 140, but we went up to 238. How much increase was there? Well, 238 minus 140, 8, 1, 3. So we increased $98. So 98 over 140, 98 divided by 140 is 7. Whoops. So the percent increase was 70%. So 70% of this total price, if we add that on, is what we were paying today. So that's how you would find the percent increase. So you find the difference and divide it by what the price was originally, okay? So that's that problem. So to do this problem, you need to know a formula. Interest equals principal times rate times time. So anyways, that's the interest rate for this, principal times rate times time. It says last year, Isabel deposited $12,000, so that's her principal, into an account that paid 6% interest per year. And she put $4,000 into another account that paid 5% interest per year. She didn't take any money out. What was the total interest earned at the end of 1 year? Okay, so the total interest for 1 year, so we're going to go 12,000 times 0.06, and 1 year is just 1 for the time. And then we're also going to have 4,000 times 0.05. Okay, so I go to my trusty little calculator over here. 12,000 times 0.06. Okay, it says that's 720. And now I go and I do 4,000 times 0.05. And that's 200. Okay, so what I have now is I have 720 plus 200 makes $920. So what was the total interest earned at the end of 1 year? $920. Now the next question says, what was the percent interest for the total deposited? So what we're going to do is work backwards on this formula now. So I know the interest is $920. So I'm going to put 920 where that I is. My principal is the amount of the two combined. Okay, so 16,000 combined. The rate I don't know, and the time is 1. So that's a 1, not a t. So that goes away. So now I just go 920 divided by 16,000, and that will give me the rate. So 920 divided by 16,000. So 0.0575, so 5.75% is my interest rate. So you're going to put 5.75 in for that second one. So on this problem, it says Boris invested his saving in 2 different funds. The $6,000 that he invested in Fund A. So here we have Fund A, and he invested $6,000. The rate of return was 5%. The amount that he invested in Fund B returned a 1% profit. How much did he invest in Fund B? If both funds together returned a 4%. So together was a 4% profit. Okay, so if we think back to the problem we just did, it's going to be similar to that. So I could figure out the percent of A. So the interest on A is 0.05 times 6,000 plus the interest on B equals the amount of dollars on both of them. So I don't know the amount of dollars on this, so I'm going to call it X. So the amount on both of them is $6,000 plus X, and together they get a 4% interest return, so 0.04. So now I have a problem set up, so that's B, which I just called X. So now I can work it out this way. So I just go to my calculator, 0.05 times 6,000. And then I also need to distribute that 0.04, so 0.04 times 6,000. So the one on the left is 300, over here it's 240. So 300, 240. So that's the 0.04 times 6,000, now 0.04 times X. So plus 0.04X. Over here I have 0.01X. So I'm going to get my numbers on one side. So 30 minus 24, whoops, that was a little bit high, is 60. I'm going to minus the 0.01 over to here. So that makes 0.03X. So now I'm going to divide it by 0.03. So I'm going to go 60 divided by 0.03. And that gives me 2,000. So that says X equals 2,000. Remember, X is the amount that we put into B. So amount invested in Fund B is $2,000. Okay. So that's how you would set that problem up and try to work that problem. It's a little bit tricky, but if you follow the ideas from the problem before, you can do it. So it says you have a washer and a dryer, and they combine to be $450. So washer plus dryer equals $450. The cost of the washer is 2 times the cost of the dryer. So if the dryer costs 100, the washer costs 2 times that amount. So the washer would be 200. So the washer equals 2 times the cost of the dryer. Okay. What is the cost of the dryer? Well, now that I know that the washer equals 2 Ds, I could replace this washer with 2 Ds. I have 3 Ds equals 450. So now I just divide it by 3. So 45 divided by 3, 15, 30, 45. So that's 15. So the dryer equals $150. So it says Alonzo takes classes at both Westside Community and Pinewood Community. At Westside, classes are $98 per credit hours. And at Pinewood, class fees are $115 per credit hour. He's taking a total of 20 credit hours. Credit hours, total of 20. So suppose that he is taking W credit hours at Westside. Write an expression for the combined total dollar amount he paid for his class fees. Write an expression for the combined total amount he paid for his class fees. So 98 times W plus 115 times P equals the total amount of dollars. Okay, so I know he's taking 20 credit hours. So I know that W plus P has to equal 20. So if I solve this for P, P would equal, I'd minus the W over from each side, 20 minus W. Okay, so now I could replace this P with 20 minus W, so I'd have 115 times 20 minus W. So now I have the amount total in terms of W. I think that's what they were asking, where they said where they're just taking W credit hours at Westside. So that's just creating an equation. So when it says an expression, it just wants an equation. So you could even distribute this. I'm not sure how this wants it. So 115 times 20 is 2300. So I have 98W plus 2300 minus 115W. So two more would make 100. So that's 15 more than 100, and two more, so that's 17. So I'd have 2300 minus 17W. Okay. Or I could just go to my calculator and go 98 minus 115. 98 minus 115. So negative 17. So that's probably more of what the equation really should be. Is it's going to be $2,300 minus 17W. So kind of an interesting problem to look at, but that's how that one would be done. So on this one it says at the City Museum, child admission is $5.10. Adult admission is $8.20. On Thursday, twice as many adult tickets as child tickets were taken. So if I had 10 child tickets, I had 20 adults. So it says twice as many adult tickets as child. So for a total, so this is child, this is adults. So in other words, my adults are 2 times as many as the child. So twice as many adults as child. Twice as many adult tickets as child, yeah. So if, like I said, if there were 20 adult and 10 children, that means I'd have to go 2 times C to make this adult ones. For a total sales of $817. So I can now replace this adult with 2 C's, right? So now what I know is $5.10 times C plus $8.20 times 2C, because there's twice as many of these as there were of those, equals a total of $817. So 2 times 820 makes 1640. So now I can add these together. 5 plus 16 is 21 and 50 cents. Child equals 817. So now I'm just going to divide that by 21.5. So I go to my calculator again. 817 divided by 21.5. 817 divided by 21.5. It says it's 38. So I come back to this and I tell them that, and I make sure I read it. It says number of child tickets. So I just type in that answer because that's what we solved for, with child. If it asked for adults, I'd plug it in here and I'd say, oh, adults were 50 tickets. Or not 50, but 56. Okay? So make sure you read what it asks you to find. So it says these triangles are similar. Find the missing side length. So this side, EF, is similar to BC, which is this side. So I'm going to say x over 63 equals, and now I can choose either one of these, 5 over 45 or 4 over 36, equals 5 over 45. So now I'm just going to go 5 times 63 divided by 45. So 5 times 63 divided by 45. And the answer is 7. So I come back to this and I say this question mark is 7. And if you think about it, these are all just times multiples of 9. So 4 times 9 is 36, 5 times 9 is 45, 7 times 9 is 63. So that's another way to do that problem. So it says these quadrilaterals are similar. So I'm going to take this piece right here, which is 1.4 over 2 equals x over 3. So I can just go 3 times 1.4 divided by 2. So 3 times 1.4 divided by 2 is 2.1. So the answer is 2.1. So now for the next one, a bag with 6 marbles is shown. A marble is chosen from random at the bag. What is the probability that it is black? Well, there's 2 blacks out of 6 total marbles, which is a total of 1/3. So you use that button, put in 1/3, because it says write it as a fraction. Okay. So it says a box contains 10 cards. So that's an important idea right there, 10 cards. It says one card will be randomly chosen. What is the probability of choosing a letter from N to Q? So there's 1, 2, 3, 4 cards. So 4 out of 10, which makes 2/5. So again, I use that button and type it in 2/5 because it says leave it as a fraction. So on this one, it says an organization will give a prize to a local artist. The artist will be randomly chosen from 3 painters, 7 sculptors, and 12 photographers. So 3 plus 7 makes 10, plus 12 makes 22 total people. What is probability that the artist chosen will be a painter or a sculptor? Well, painter or a sculptor, that's 10 of them. So 10 out of 22, each of those are divisible by 2, so that's 5/11. So again, I put it in as a fraction, because it says as a fraction, 5/11. So this one says, here's a table showing all 52 cards. So there's 52 cards in here. What is the probability the card drawn is a heart? Well, the hearts are this line all the way across here. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So 13 out of 52. Or you could look at it this way. 1, 2, 3, 4. How many? There's 4 different suits. One of those is hearts, which is 1/4. And that's what this reduces down to be, is 1/4 as well. What is the probability that the card drawn is an ace? Well, there's 4 aces out of those 52. So 4 out of 52, and this reduces to be 1 out of 13. What is the probability that the card drawn is a heart or an ace? Now there's 4 aces and there's 13 hearts, but you cannot go 4 plus 13. Some of you are saying, well, why not? You just said there's 4 and 13, but there's 4 aces and 13 hearts, but that means this one got counted twice. It got counted as an ace and a heart. Okay, so there's really only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 cards. Okay, so make sure you don't count cards twice. So there's really only 16 cards out of 52. So now we reduce that and divide them by 4. So 4 out of 13. So this one says a dart hits the circular dartboard shown below. Find the probability that the dart lands in the shaded circular region. So to find the probability, remember it's the area of what we're after over the area of the total. So this says it has an area of 4. So pi r squared is our formula for area. So that's pi times 4 squared over pi times 14 squared. So 4 squared is 16. 14 squared, I believe, is 196. Let's hurry and make sure. So 196. So 16 pi over 196 pi. The pi's will cancel off. So now I can go back to my calculator. It says round to the nearest hundredth. So I'm going to go 16 divided by 196. So that tells me it's 0.0816. Well, this is the hundredth, so that 1 doesn't make it go up any, so it's 0.08. So I come back, round your answer to the nearest hundredth, 0.08 would be our answer. Okay, and now it's all the end. Woohoo!